So I've wanted a new audio recorder for a little while for doing videos. Now you can probably hear me perfectly well because I'm using a decent quality camera with decent quality built-in audio. But it's a bit awkward when you're some distance away from the camera, or if you're recording on something like a GoPro, like one of these, and this doesn't have very good audio, the mobile phone doesn't have very good audio, especially if you're using this, say, on a bike or something like that, the audio, where you can barely even hear it. Likewise, if someone's quite some distance away from the camera, you either want to transmit the audio to the camera or you want to record it locally, and it's quite fashionable to have these little mini audio recorders. So I got one of these. This one is a bit different to the ones you'll usually see most people use. This one's actually custom designed by Adrian Kennard of Andrews and Arnold Limited. It's sold as more as a development board for hobbyists rather than as a complete product, although it's pretty much a complete product as far as I'm concerned. So it comes as a printed circuit board. It does come actually on the original PCB, so you have to snap off the V-grooves. It requires a LiPo battery. That's not included, you have to buy that separately, and also the micro SD card you also have to buy separately, it's not included. But it does come with a nice little 3D printed case with the Adrian Kennard logo on and some windows for the LEDs and holes for the buttons, and it also has a link to his shop on there where you can buy one. And this is the device itself. It's based on an ESP32 microcontroller, USB Type-C for charging and to connect to a computer to read off the card, button to switch it on and off and to start. There's the power connector, lots of LEDs to show you the battery level and to show you what it's doing, and on the back we've got the SD card slot and two microphones. The microphones I think use an I2C interface. I'm not too sure about how the electronics actually work. I think most of the stuff's actually done by the ESP32 itself. I've never used an ESP32, so I can't really comment on the software. I actually kind of wanted this more just as a plain audio recorder rather than as something to mess around with the software. But I've given it a test, but I'll just show you how it goes together. Right, so I'll just show you how it goes together. It comes with a 3D printed case. Did I mention you do have to purchase the battery separately? If I can remember how it goes back together, I think it goes like that on that side. There we go, and somehow the battery will go in there like that. Yeah, the battery fits in there quite nicely. And there's some space for the cable. Yeah, the gap that's under. So we'll put that in there first and put some on top. Right, that's clipped together nicely. I'm not actually sure how to reconfigure it. There's no config file on the SD card, so I think you have to recompile the software or something, but again, I've never really done ESP32 stuff, so I don't know. But basically, to record it, you just press the button, but the light comes on, and that is aligned with a beep in the audio file, so I'll show you what it does. There we go, it's beeped, and we've got a red light that's synchronised with the beep, and that means it's now recording, so I can now talk into this, and hopefully that'll work. It also comes with a little clip which you can clip on, as well as a lanyard. Interestingly, these are included in the price. So I understand the current fashion trend with these sorts of things is to hold them in front of you like this, like it's some highly important thing that you need to see, but never actually mention it. So I guess I could be a fully qualified BBC News reporter now. Or we could do what influencers do. Are influencers, are they the ones who tend to hold it up to the mouth like this? I don't know how sensitive it is or whether it clips or not, so this will be a good test to see whether it clips much. Of course, ordinarily you would never hold something up this close unless you were in a very, very, very noisy place, which I may be this weekend actually. You wouldn't normally do this, mind you. I think, but it's holding it in very funny places. It seems to be very fashionable at the moment. But let's just try the clip. So if you want something a bit more, useful, you can clip it onto your shirt. I know it looks a bit silly, but if it's the only realistic option you've got, if you don't want to have an expensive transmitter, this is far better than nothing. Only thing is, you might want to reconfigure it to switch the LEDs off, or maybe put some tape over it. Now you can of course switch the beep off, or you can edit it out in the software. This is the lanyard option. That actually looks quite smart. I mean, I wouldn't personally have gone for orange, but it looks quite reasonable. Looks a lot less daft than holding it. So we'll see how that works. There's also a bit of a fashion trend whereby people sort of attach them to completely unrelated objects and use those as sort of holding devices. I did actually just try this with a 5 1/4 inch floppy disk, but the thing is, those floppy disks, they're actually floppy. That's where the name comes from, and they're actually a bit they kind of flop all over the place when you've got something dangling from them. So these floppy disks, these 3 1/2 inch disks, which are actually quite hard, clips onto that quite nicely. I wonder how much PCM audio you could fit in 1.4 megabytes. But I'll just plug it back in just to charge the battery back up before I go out, and then I'll give it a try on the GoPro. Right, I've got the GoPro on the back, I've got the microphone, I'll clip it to my shirt, and let's go and have a look at some of this newfangled cycling infrastructure. So we're just coming down to Sheffield Road, which has got a segregated cycle lane and some various new traffic light controlled crossings. Now it's a bit windy when you're riding, so I don't know how the new microphone will deal with the wind, but hopefully it'll be alright. Now this is an old industrial part of Rotherham and Sheffield. It was once all steelworks all the way up here, and we do still have steelworks, but we also have a lot of offices and other buildings. So now we've got to hope that no one will pull out in front of us on the junction of Ferrers Road. They haven't. But the sensor of all those traffic lights will detect us coming along and will change the traffic lights automatically for us. You can see the red lights come on and the lights are changing. It's green, so we can go. These ones here are actually all on a sequence, they're automatic, because it alternates between one lane and the other. So the layout here is not that much different to what it used to be. They basically just formalised the cycle lane and put in some crossings. There we go, got to my destination in Sheffield via the Dutch roundabout, and hopefully you can hear me loud and clear.